Now in this video I'm going to teach you how you can create your own scaffolding front-end templates or themes if you wish. Now, as you're already aware of, I can create my backend here by choosing my database. I've already done this with the Sakila database actually, so I can go to my endpoints, I can show my endpoints, and here are all the HTTP REST endpoints for my Sakila database, and I can give my app a name, and then I can choose a template. Now, what's new in this version of Magic 8.3.2 is that I've added a new template, which is dark. This is how it's going to look like when you scaffold your Angular frontend. It's similar to the Angular default template, but it does have some changes. And no, there are not only CSS changes, there are also code changes and things like that, such as, for instance, the fact that Angular Dark shows 25 items by default in the grid, etc., etc. However, you probably want to create your own templates, I imagine. So therefore, in this magic trick, I will teach you how to do just that. You see, what's happening when I refresh the page here is that Magic actually dynamically determines every single folder I have inside of. Here is the Magic, there's number one, Magic, backend, files, MISC, and then templates. Then it excludes common. Common is just a common folder for commonalities between all the three different templates. So that actually implies that I can just copy this file and I can call it, oops, where did it end up? It's supposed to end up right here. Oops. This is not my day. Foo-bar. Okay, rename it and move it into the templates folder. If I now refresh this page, I have another template, and it's called Foo-bar. And in fact, using Visual Studio Code or something, I can go into my backend files, MISC, templates, and I can open up the Foo-bar thing here. I can modify its description. Foo-bar templates. This is cool. Right, save it. I can refresh. I can select the Foo-bar template again, and I have a new description. Right. And now, of course, that's probably pretty boring. The cool part is that you can actually now start modifying the content which is inside of your templates folder here. In order to productively do that, you obviously need to understand the structure of this particular folder. I have fairly well documented it at the main website for Magic. There's a link in the description of this YouTube video for the record to this particular new tutorial about Magic, where I go fairly accurately through how the templating process works, with the intention of teaching you how to actually do it yourself. However, the important parts are these parts, right? They always start with 2 square brackets, and they always end with 2 square brackets. Now, if we look at the code here in, for instance, main, source, then let's open up app. Let's expand the services folder, and let's open up the HTTP service here. Then you will see that this is almost a TypeScript file, a valid Angular HTTP client service file, except for this particular little line of code here, which is actually dynamically substituted by the template, this particular template, to make sure that it actually injects the service methods wrapping our database table with CRUD operations. And of course, the way it actually does this, I also go through in this thing where I explain how it ends up looking like. Let's see if I can find the service method down here, or the service thing. Here we go. Here, for instance, I have one database table called actor. It has all 4 CRUD operations, hence it implements iCRUD entity, delete, read, count, create and update. So this part of the file is dynamically substituted with things resembling this for every single table you choose to codify and have as input of your scaffolding process. Then further down here, I go through how it starts out by actually structuring your endpoints. When you transmit the endpoints from the front end to the back end, they're not very highly structured. So what this common file here does, if we go into the templates and we find, here is my main template folder, we go into the common folder here, and then we see structure endpoints. This is a hyperlambda file that simply creates a well-known structure out of my HTTP REST endpoints, grouping all associated HTTP REST endpoints into one particular entry here, providing the URL. Okay, here we have verb delete, get, post and put for the same URL. Then we have a suggestion for a component selector. Then we have a suggestion for an actor component name. Then we have a suggestion for a component file name and for a component folder, the header of the file, etc., etc. And this structure, hence again, then becomes the input to the rest of the scaffolding process. If we go into foobar and we look at generate.hl here, you see this is the first thing it does. It invokes this particular file, which is the structure endpoints.hl, and it saves the result of invoking that file into CRUD methods, and later it basically uses CRUD methods for everything further down in this file. Here it starts the process of creating Angular service methods, which also is a shared file inside of the common folder here called create Angular service methods.hl, which basically is the stuff that ends up creating this thing. And then it goes through every single CRUD HTTP REST endpoint, every single entry. This is one entry. If I have 20 tables, I will have 20 entries. Then it creates one component for every single entry I have in this structured result. Now, the really cool part is that you don't really need to know much hyperlambda actually to start creating your own templates. In fact, if you know Angular, you're way on your way. We, for instance, look here inside of the foobar template we just created. We see templates, we see main here. This is the main Angular project, right? If you want to change the Angular material theme of your template, here you go. Currently it's pinkbluegray.css. Of course, you know, if you Google Angular material themes, you will find a list of all the available themes that Angular material provides out of the box, in addition to a recipe of how to create your own. If I want to use the indigo pink instead, okay, maybe that's the only change I want to do, right? I save the file, I now create a foobar type of template wrapping my database. It's using indigopink.css instead of pink-bluegray.css, etc., etc., etc. And of course, this is just plain CSS. I can modify it as I see fit. I can, you know, make the dialog container being 80% of the viewport width if I want to. I can go down and say, hey man, I want to have more padding at the top of my component wrapper to 10 rem, etc., etc., etc. Changing the background color. Now this allows you to not only actually create themes for Magic, but also allowing you to modify the code too. You see, if I expand this, de-expand this guy, and then I open up, for instance, the component folder here, then I have a look at the component.html here. Well, it's just HTML. Of course, this part is dynamically substituted by this particular template engine. I can also apply my own substitutions here if I want to. This is substituted by the actual ng containers for the material table. This is the delete instance. If I want to have a different icon for it, then, you know, okay, here's a material icon. I can do foo-bar here if I want to. Now I have a different delete button for every single record in every single material table, being the result of using this particular template engine on my HTTP REST backend, etc., etc., etc. So this allows you to completely modify the end result that Magic produces as you are using Magic, and you are choosing your template and you're giving it a name and you're clicking generate. Boom, you have a completely different result simply because you created your own template. Now, for the record, if you create a really kick-ass template and you want to distribute it as open source, let me know. My email address is in the description of this YouTube video. Let me know about it and I'll throw you a free license of Magic. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.